Let's be honest. We've all heard people complain about nepotism. He only got that job because his dad owns the company, or she's only famous because of her family connections.
But is nepotism really as unfair as people make it out to be? Or is there a part of us that's just a little jealous because we aren't in the same position? And nepotism is everywhere. It's not confined to one industry or a specific class of people. It's the practice of favoring family members or close friends in giving them jobs or opportunities, even when others might be more qualified. You might see it when the CEO's son suddenly lands an executive position straight out of college, or when a famous actor's daughter gets a lead role in a movie before even proving her talent. The truth is, nepotism has been around forever and it's likely here to stay, but what makes it so controversial is that it can feel like a betrayal of fairness. We grow up being told that if we work hard, we'll be successful. So, when someone with less experience or talent gets ahead because of who they know, it rubs people the wrong way. But is this frustration about fairness or just envy? When we see someone getting ahead because of connections, it's easy to assume it's unfair. You've probably experienced this feeling at least once in your life. Maybe you've applied for a job only to find out it went to someone with a family connection. That sting of unfairness often masks another powerful emotion: envy.
Psychologists have found that envy can be a natural response when people see others benefiting from something they lack. Envy can lead us to criticize those with advantages we don't have. But envy also blinds us to the bigger picture. Sure, someone might get a leg up because of who their parents are, but that doesn't mean they're guaranteed success.
A famous example of nepotism in action is in Hollywood, where the term Nepo baby is often used to describe children of celebrities who land movie roles. For instance, take Zoe Kravitz, daughter of actress Lisa Bonet and musician Lenny Kravitz. Zoe's rise to fame undoubtedly benefited from her family's influence, but at the same time she has worked hard to establish herself as a talented actress. This brings us to a critical point. Nepotism might open the door, but it doesn't keep you in the room. Sure, having connections can get you in front of the right people, but at some point you still have to prove yourself. This is why some people born into privilege go on to have successful careers, while others fade into obscurity.
There's another side to this argument. Some people use nepotism as an excuse for their own lack of success. It's easy to blame the system or say, I didn't get the job because I don't have connections.
But that mindset can prevent you from working on what you can control. Maybe you didn't get the job because your qualifications weren't quite there yet, or maybe the person who got it had more experience, even if they had connections. It's important to recognize when nepotism plays a role and when it's just an excuse to avoid self-reflection. People often argue that nepotism blocks the path for hard-working, qualified individuals, but it's worth noting that while nepotism might give someone a chance, it doesn't guarantee their success. Take the fashion industry, for instance. Models like Kendall Jenner have faced criticism for their success due to family ties, being part of the Kardashian family, but staying at the top of such a competitive industry requires more than just a famous name. Many Nepo babies have failed to sustain long-term careers simply because they didn't have the work ethic or skills to back up the opportunities given to them. Nepotism isn't limited to high-profile careers like acting or business. It's found in every profession. Think about sports.
If a basketball player's father was a legendary athlete, like LeBron James's son, Bronny James, that child is likely to have access to the best trainers, facilities, and guidance. This doesn't guarantee they'll make it to the NBA, but it does give them an undeniable head start.
In business, companies have been passed down through generations for centuries. For example, the Rothschild family has maintained influence in the banking industry for over 200 years. Nepotism in business is almost a tradition, where skills and knowledge are passed down, making it easier for future generations to succeed. Politics is another area rife with nepotism. In the United States, political families like the Kennedys and the Bushes have maintained power across multiple generations. Being born into a political family often means access to elite networks and the know-how to navigate the political landscape from a young age. It's hard for an outsider without those connections to break in, which perpetuates the idea that nepotism is unfair. Even in small-scale environments, such as local businesses or family-owned shops, nepotism is common. A family might own a bakery, and naturally their children inherit the business, even if a more experienced baker might be a better fit to run it. It's the same story, just on a different scale. Here's an interesting point that often gets overlooked. Nepotism isn't just about wealth or fame, it's also about knowledge.
Imagine you're born into a family of doctors. From a young age, you're exposed to medical terms, concepts, and discussions that others might only encounter in medical school. This gives you a unique advantage. By the time you're an adult, you already have a head start in understanding the medical field.
This applies to many other fields, from law to technology. It's not just about having money or connections, it's about being in an environment where you can learn the ins and outs of an industry from an early age. This knowledge is often passed down through generations, giving some people an advantage that goes beyond what can be measured in dollars. Nepotism plays a significant role in maintaining class divides. People who are born into wealthy, connected families are more likely to stay wealthy and connected. Meanwhile, those born into lower socioeconomic circumstances often struggle to break out of that cycle. It's not just about working hard, it's about having the resources, knowledge, and networks to leverage opportunities when they arise. This is why, for many, it feels like the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. Nepotism, in a sense, reinforces this cycle. Those with privilege have an easier time passing it on to their children, creating a self-perpetuating system where success is inherited, not always earned. In the end, is nepotism really unfair? It depends on how you look at it. Nepotism definitely creates advantages for some, but it doesn't guarantee success. Connections might open doors, but staying inside those doors takes hard work, skill, and perseverance. And while it's easy to feel envious of those who benefit from nepotism, it's also important to remember that everyone faces their own challenges. Instead of focusing on what others have, maybe the better question is, what can you do with the opportunities you're given?